and you guys are live. Good luck. I'll be in touch with you later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Hi, everybody. This is Alia Sakani from the Education US Karachi office. Welcome to our panel, Studying Liberal Arts in the US. Today, we're going to be speaking to 3 representatives from liberal arts colleges and answering any questions you might have about the liberal arts education. So a little introduction about Education USA. We are a global network of advising centers all over the world, and we are your official source on the US higher education process. We help out students on every part of the process, starting from college search all the way to applying for your visas. So if any student out there is applying to the US and needs some assistance, we are here to help. Today, we're going to be specifically talking about the liberal arts, which is a different form of education and generally misconceived in Pakistan. It's a more liberal form of study where you don't walk in with a full structured program, and you have a little more freedom in trying to decide what exactly it is you want to study. So we have 3 representatives. We have Yorubi from Felician University. We have Fatimata from Miami University, and we have Jennifer from Otterbein, and they're all going to be speaking about their programs and what the liberal arts is altogether as well. So I'm going to hand it off to the panel to begin the presentation. Thank you. We will also be taking questions. So if you're on our Zoom presentation, please put them in the Q&A section. And if you're watching us on Facebook, please put your comments as questions, and we will take them towards the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. We're excited to at least be able to speak with you through this way. A little saddened that we are unable to see you in person, but we hope that all this changes soon and that you are all safe. So again, my name is Jerubi Petit Frere. I'm the director for the Office of International Program at Felician University. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what are the liberal arts, what is the liberal arts curriculum, and just walk through a little bit of the education system in the US. So what are the liberal arts curriculum? That's a big question that students have. And funny enough, it's an interesting topic for me specifically because I graduated from a liberal arts institution and I was too an international student. So when I first began learning about liberal arts, it was quite a cloudy understanding. I wasn't sure really what that meant until you really get to live it. But liberal arts really is the foundation of the US system of education. It's the core of what makes us so unique throughout the different systems of education in the world. You know, some of the famous schools that you might think of that founded the US education, like Harvard and Princeton, are considered liberal arts institutions. And it's really the understanding that students will have the ability to learn all kinds of subjects to make you a more well-rounded individual. So the liberal arts have really 3 main components. You have the humanities, which are considered your arts, your philosophies, your literatures, your social sciences, of course, the study of people, sociology, culture, anthropology, political science, and your traditional science and maths, which sometimes students misunderstand that it has to be algebra and calculus, and that is part of it, but it also can be quite creative when it comes to science and math and what you study in the liberal arts. So these type of classes is what makes up the US curriculum of education. But the difference with liberal arts institutions is that most or a big portion of your curriculum will focus on these subjects and the excuse me, and the ability to actually study different courses throughout these different types of subjects, so you can gain a deeper understanding of how the world works, right? How we connect the dots between people, systems, and sciences. So Some of the characteristics of liberal arts institutions can really vary, just like the U.S. system of education. I think a big misconception is that all liberal arts schools are small and private, and that's not the case, as you'll hear from my colleagues. But yeah, liberal arts institutions can be private, can be public, can be big, mid, or small institutions. It's not necessarily I'll say the physical characteristic of the institution, but more the curriculum characteristic of an institution that makes the liberal arts. Another characteristic of liberal arts institutions is that they can be quite flexible when it comes to your studies. So many students have the ability to do more than one major or mix and match majors, minors, and really there isn't anything surprising when it comes to liberal arts. You'll often see students match almost kind of complete opposite majors or even make up their own concentration or focus. So it gives you a lot more flexibility to really study what you want, what your interests are. And that's also one of the particular strengths of the US system. You kind of lead your education with, of course, with your institution's direction, but you are the leader on how you learn and what you learn. Another kind of unique characteristic is that you can study across different disciplines. You're not only going to learn about your major or about your concentration, but you'll be forced to learn a bit about all different areas of an institution. So whether it's, I'll give you a prime example, my major was political science and international relations, and one of my favorite classes was oceanography and philosophy in college. I learned probably the most about myself and the world throughout those classes. So students, again, have the ability to take and explore different classes. You would think, game design would be a very straightforward major, but a lot of colleges will mix it with interactive media or international relations. I had a student in education school who wanted to be a teacher with her concentration being science. And she got the ability to take all kinds of classes within the science and education and form her own after school program after graduating. So there really are no limits when it comes to liberal arts and mixing and matches your classes and your interests. Another big misconception that students have is that, if you're a liberal arts or studying at a liberal arts school, there's no possible way that you can also be a STEM student. I have to tell you, that is a really big misconception. Some of the best STEM majors or schools have a very strong sense of liberal arts. And the liberal arts institutions really ground themselves on research and tend to be actually the pioneers or really strong in the research background. So they focus on not only learning the subjects that you're going to learn, but also in really interpreting and thinking about it and developing ideas within your research. Liberal arts also gives you the ability to do a lot of independent study. And you'll hear that, that if you want to try something different and you perhaps find a mentor or a subject that is strong within your major or your interest, you'll see that a lot in the STEM fields. And I'll just describe again, STEM is considered to me science, technology, engineering, and math, which is where sometimes big employment opportunities are or subjects that allow students to really have flexibility within the sciences. Even with the STEM in the United States, STEM fields are actually the most popular when it comes to study abroad and experiential learning. Well, you have the ability to go to different parts of the world and develop your research within a liberal arts context. So I know it's surprising, but liberal arts institutions will offer courses or majors in neuroscience or computer science or physiological science, and of course your traditional data science in chemistry and biology and physics. These are all common majors at liberal arts institutions, but again, they're rooted in the sense of really being inquisitive within your major and your interest. But I think the biggest lessons that you would learn from a liberal arts school, or the biggest takeaway, is really what liberal arts teaches. And if you look at any job opportunities, any job descriptions from any employer, they don't often give you very hard score skills that they're looking for. They're really focusing, especially for graduating seniors, on your soft skills that you've gained through your education. And that's really the strengths of liberal arts. Liberal arts teaches you how to be a critical thinker, how to problem solve, how to be innovative and really work on your creativity. And most importantly, how to be a very global, competent individual. And you will see that how my colleagues will describe their institutions, which are all liberal arts, and how they take different approaches in teaching these skills. So yes, subjects are important, and knowing your major and having experiences in those are very important. But these soft skills and what to do with that information, how to question, how to think about the world differently, how to reason, how to come up with theories that are backed up with evidence. Those are all very important skills in life that you will use no matter what your concentration or what you graduate with. And those are the type of skills that employers are looking for. So often, students think, oh, if I go to a liberal arts school, it's going to be very hard to find a job. And you will find that very, very much the opposite of liberal arts institutions. We are extremely career oriented. We want to ensure that students that graduate with a liberal arts degree have the skills, not only the core skills or the hardcore skills, but also the soft skills to really be leaders, to take on opportunities. And you will see, as I show in my slide, how there are many leaders, top CEOs like Alibaba, and founders from LinkedIn, and just leaders across the world that have graduated from liberal arts institutions, and who use these skills beyond perhaps the major that they studied, but more they've kind of shaped their lives as leaders. So that's a little bit about liberal arts. Of course, I invite you to ask more questions if you want to know any more particular facts, or you're curious about what anything that I said means. But I'm going to pass it on to, I think, will be Fatimata to talk a little bit more about her institution.
Great, thank you so much, Ruby. Hello, everyone. My name is Fatima Tanjai, or you can call me Fatima. I am the Assistant Director for International Recruitment here at Miami University, which is the home of the Redhawks. We are located in Oxford in the state of Ohio, and we are one of the oldest institutions in the United States. We were established in 1809. We are what is known as a public Ivy, which basically means that we are one of a handful of institutions where you can get a quality of education that is similar to what you would find at an Ivy institution, but at a much more affordable price. We are also ranked as a top 3 university when it comes to undergraduate teaching, because that is really our main focus. Next slide, please. Okay, so a traditional strength of Miami University is its emphasis on liberal arts. And we were founded with the belief that a liberal education really provides the best possible framework for life in a changing world. And this emphasis is really reflected through various ways at our university. And one of the ways in which it is reflected is, and basically the Global Miami Plan is a series of courses across all disciplines at Miami. and it requires students to take classes from outside of their majors. So let's say you are an engineering student. Well, most of your courses will be engineering courses, but you might also have to take a course in history, for example, or in economics. And that's really because we believe that a well-rounded education helps students develop their mental agility. It helps students develop their problem-solving ability to really think for themselves and to adapt to a changing world, which is very important. We also offer double majors and minors as well. We have more than 120 majors at our university, and more than half of our students will actually double major, or you have a passion or an interest, but would like to study a different subject. Well, you don't have to choose between those two. You can actually study both. We also provide plenty of opportunities when it comes to research, and these research opportunities are also extended to first-year students, which is not necessarily the case in many universities. So when you step on our campus from day one, you have the opportunity to work closely with professors, come up with your own research topic, and they will be there to provide the help that you need for this research. And it doesn't matter whether that research is taking place on our campus in Oxford, Ohio, or anywhere else around the world, because study abroad is really one of the hallmark of a Miami experience, and more than half of our students will also study abroad. And in fact, we do have an international campus, which is located in Luxembourg, in the heart of Europe. But if Luxembourg isn't exciting enough for you, we have study abroad locations in more than 90 places around the world. We also really do focus on hands-on experience because we believe that it's not just enough to be studying in the classroom, but it's also important to take whatever it is that you're studying in the classroom and put that in practice. And what this means is that nearly 100% of all of our students will have had some type of hands-on experience, whether that is an internship or a co-op or some type of research before they graduate from Miami. And this means that we are also very career focused. When you come to Miami University, day one, you are assigned a career advisor with whom you have to meet periodically to make sure that you are not only learning what you need to learn in the classroom, but again, you are also getting those experiences that will help you get the jobs that you will need after your time at Miami University. And now I'm going to play a video which will just give you a highlight of what the liberal arts look like at Miami University.
What is it like to be a graduate of Miami University? What sorts of opportunities are you going to have? How will you be prepared again and again and again in life to reach out and grab that opportunity and know that the foundations that you have to seize that opportunity are the best you can get anywhere?
You come to college when you're 17, 18 years of age. And the world is a constantly changing place, and there's new challenges. Students would like to have a compass, not a map, in sort of a way where you have guidance, but you're not told how to go. The strength of the liberal arts is that you get to really explore approaches to how you'll live your life.
I'm a zoology major.
I'm assistant professor of psychology.
Diplomacy and global politics. I'm taking history as a minor.
You have to be willing to tackle different ideas.
I studied abroad in Barcelona, Spain, and I spoke Spanish every day in my homestay. Liberal arts gives me the chance to create this knowledge.
Education, Health, and Society, we have these multiple disciplines under one roof. We like to pride ourselves on being innovative in terms of technology.
There's this program at Miami, it's called Project Backpack. There's a laptop, a projectable smartboard, and you can just put it up on the wall and start drawing. And it's for student teachers.
My research is focused on the specific mechanisms by which exercise can help us decrease our risk for developing disease.
It's not just the intellect, but we're dealing with the heart, your physical being. Urban Teaching Cohort is a place-based approach to teacher education where they're living and student teaching in the community.
With engineering, I feel like I'm accomplishing something. I feel like I'm learning. I feel like I am going somewhere.
I see all of my students as natural creators.
The person who does learns. You will learn way more if you build something.
This involvement is part of what we call experiential learning.
With engineering, it's the independence, the freedom to think out of the box. So now I'm thinking I can actually lead and not just follow.
To experience the pharma school and we show them what we're like in action.
The business school really tries to push you. All the students there are motivated.
There's a lot of opportunity for engagement.
We are out with real clients, calling up small businesses.
Miami really is about encountering people.
From the time students are freshmen, they have the opportunity to work with faculty. They're really committed to this kind of engagement on a personal level.
In creative arts, we really work one-on-one, and it really does feel like a family.
You have all these creative minds. You're all bouncing ideas off each other, and you're able to collaborate.
Miami students take themselves very seriously, and that comes out in what they produce. And it also comes out in the type of jobs that they get when they graduate.
The most rewarding students I've taught are those that pursued a path that they didn't think they were going to pursue, and we give them that chance.
It's not going to be a compromise. It's going to be rigorous. We're going to challenge you. You have to do your best. You're not going to be allowed to slide here because we know that is what makes a difference in your life. When you can rise to the occasion, meet the challenge, and accomplish the goal.
Okay, wonderful. Hopefully that gave you a little taste of what liberal arts are at Miami University. And here you can see some contact information. We are on Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and Gmail. So feel free to jot down that information and reach out to us for any questions you might have. And I look forward to answering any questions at the end of the presentation as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatimata. I think Jennifer will lead us next.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me today. My name is Jennifer Seymour. I'm the International Mission Coordinator at Otterbein University. And Otterbein University is located in Central Ohio, so we're about approximately 2 miles northeast of Miami University. Otterbein was established as a liberal arts university in 1847, so we've been around for quite some time. We are a small university. We have around 3,000 students. We have undergraduate work, and we also have graduate programs. Additionally, we have an ESL pathway program, which has been really helpful for a lot of our international students who need a little bit more ESL before they jump into an academic program. Okay, next slide. We like to say that we are different because of all these adjectives you see listed here on the screen. As some of the other speakers were talking, a liberal arts university does give you the opportunity to become more creative through the education that you receive. And one of our goals is really to help you to become more innovative and so that you can eventually become a leader. We have lots of opportunities for that to take place on campus. We have over 100 different clubs where you can be a part of one. If you don't find a club that you don't like, you can start your own. So that's just one example of how quickly you can step into a role of leadership. We also feel like we have a very diverse campus and very affordable. So we have students who come from all over the United States, from different parts of the world. And then of course, we have a lot of students from Ohio. Next slide. So again, these are values that we really try to incorporate into all of our classes. We are a really caring, supportive community. We also feel like we're kind of the perfect location because we're a small city called Westerville, just 20 minutes from downtown Columbus. And Columbus is the capital city of Ohio. Feel like we found a smarter way to learn through experiential learning. Through that experiential learning, we really try to establish these values that I have listed on here. And all of these values really help you to become a part of the community and feel like you belong and that what you're doing really matters and you're learning to serve the public good while having lots of fun. Okay, next slide, please. Now I'm going to show you a little video here. All right, thank you. So at Otterbein, we have over 70 majors and 40 minors. Our most notable majors are engineering, computer science, allied health, and in allied health, we have sports science and sports management. You may have saw the horses on the video. We do have an equine science pre-vet program. We have a state-of-the-art equine center where we have our own 12, I think about 12 horses, and then we have some stalls for people to bring their own horses, which is really wonderful. We are very well known for our theater and music programs. We have business and zoo and conservation science. Otterbein's top 20% among the regional universities in the Midwest. Okay, next slide. All right, so we have what we call integrated studies programs and experiential learning. So this is one of the ways we've kind of set ourselves apart. So our integrative studies is in place of what you would consider general elective requirements. So these are courses that are designed to weave your education together. And they're usually highly writing intensive courses, but they can span across different disciplines. So it could be a course like climbing mountains that talks about mountain climbers, but they're also going to learn about the fauna on the mountains. So it's going to bring in some science It's going to talk about survival on mountains. And also that class is going to have a phys ed class with it, where you actually get to go to a climbing center and learn to rock climb. And so that's a very favorite class. A lot of students really love to take that class. So these integrative studies courses, the goal of it is to increase your knowledge and take that knowledge into action for the public good. So you take one course from an 8-program thread, which is then weaved out through all 4 years. So you start right from the beginning in your major, and then you take your integrative studies courses alongside your major courses. So the themed courses are designed to incorporate all disciplines and achieve our core values at the same time. All right. And then we have another program. It's called the 5 Cardinal Experiences. We call it the 5 Cards for short. We have research and creative work, community engagement, leadership and citizenship, global and intercultural engagement, and then internships and professional experience. So you don't have to do all of these, but each time you complete a card, you get that put on your experiential transcript. So then when you graduate, you have 2 transcripts, your academic transcript and your experiential transcript. So then you can show your potential employer your experiential transcript so they can see all these other different things that you've done during your college career. The study abroad piece can take place for the global and intercultural engagement. If you don't want to study abroad, there's definitely ways to get that piece here in Columbus. And then the internship and professional experience are ones that a lot of students want to know about, you know, what type of experience can they get? And in Columbus, we are kind of known as a banking town, an IT town, insurance town, healthcare town. So we have companies like JP Morgan Chase, we have Honda, we have Nestle, Nationwide Insurance, Nationwide Children's Hospital, Cardinal Health, Chemical Abstracts. So the list goes on and on of lots of different opportunities for you to get some internships and maybe even get hired after you graduate. Employers report back to us, they really, really love our students. They see a difference in them, and I think it's a lot to do with the integrative studies approach. And then 97% of our surveyed students were either employed or enrolled in graduate school within 6 months of graduating, which is a really great number. All right, next slide. And then this is a video about our experiential learning.
I think one of the ways that experiential learning is different at Otterbein is that our students have a choice here on how they want to explore the world. At Otterbein, we have 5 cardinal experiences. And when a student comes here, one student may be very interested in undergraduate research. It may be a chance for them to try out the chemistry lab, you know, get dirty down at the pond with the frogs. But another student, that might not be their thing. So for that other student who's really interested in leadership or community service, they've got an option to do something very different. And across all 5 of those experiences, we have quite a lot of depth.
When you put yourself out there, when you take risks, when you learn to be resilient, try something new, deepen your education, make those connections between what you're learning in the classroom and what you're learning outside of the classroom, you become a better thinker. You become like I said, a more resilient, a more thoughtful person. And I think that serves you well no matter your path in life. If you want to go to grad school, if you want to start your career, if you want to engage in deeper service in something like the Peace Corps, you will benefit from having engaged in these experiential opportunities at Otterbein.
Okay, next slide. All right, so I'll talk a little bit about Columbus just real quickly. It is the 14th largest city in the United States. Again, we're about a 20-minute drive to downtown Columbus. And there you will find lots of arts. We have theater, we have the symphony, we have sports, we have about 5 different sports teams, lots of festivals in the summer and the fall. And then we have all kinds of shopping. We have all kinds of malls around us. So it's lots to do. Okay, next slide. And then Westerville is kind of a really special place. We have a lot of people that have grown up in Westerville and stayed in Westerville to raise their kids. It's a really safe community. People are very friendly. That's one of the things the students say as soon as they arrive on campus is how friendly everybody is. It's only a 5-minute walk from Otterbein University to downtown Westerville. And there's lots of shops. And then we have over 40 different walking trails and parks and bike rentals. So there's, even though we're in a smaller town, there's plenty of things to do. Okay. All right, so this is just a slide on our application process and scholarships. And we do offer scholarships of $12,000 to $15,000. And those are merit-based. And then we have talent and departmental awards and IB scholarships. And I just listed up here the English proficiency requirement and all the different types of tests that we take. All right. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jennifer. So we'll cap it off with Felician, which is the university I represent. And I'll start with also just watch a quick little intro video. Great. That was just to give you a little preview of what the campus looks like. So Felician is a Catholic institution. It was founded by Felician sisters, which I think is an added layer to the liberal arts education. And it's actually known to be as one of the most welcoming communities because of our vision, mission, and focus, which is what we passed on to students through the syllabus and through the teaching that you learn. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in some of my other slides. But one of the I guess, fun things about Felician is that we're located in New Jersey, which is approximately, it's in Rutherford, New Jersey. We have 2 locations, which are about 10 minutes apart from each other. These locations are broken down by schools. So you have the School of Business, School of Education, and ESL Academy in the Rutherford campus, which is also where our dormitories are, our residence halls. And then we have the nursing school and schools of arts and sciences. And, oh, one's missing there, the information systems school, which is also in our Lodi campus. We're only about 16 kilometers from New York City. It's virtually about a 15 to 20 minute drive if you decide to drive. Otherwise, you walk 5 minutes to downtown Rutherford from our campus, and there is a train that leaves you in Manhattan in about 20 minutes. So really is what students describe it as the best of both worlds. The reason for that, it's also because Felician was voted the safest campus in all of New Jersey. It's quite a residential town and really, really safe. You see lots of families and schools and just a good old American town, they call it. Literally what you see in movies is what the Felician campus looks like. It's just beautiful greeneries and old buildings that are restored. And it was also ranked as well, really the best buck for your education. It's a saying that we say. There was research done that Felician students that graduate get a good amount of salary when they graduate. So their education is quite worthwhile, what they paid. So that's what they call return on investment. But I think one of the best unique accolades about Felician is our diversity. And many students confuse diversity by just thinking of color or culture, which is part of being diverse, but really is deeper than that. Our students come from all walks of life. We have older students, we have younger students, your traditional 17, 18-year-old students. We have, of course, working students or full-time, older people that work, but also come to school. And to me, that really enriches the classroom and what you're learning from each other. So it is ranked one of the most diverse institutions in the nation. And you'll see that in our classes. A few facts, we are a small institution, about 2,400 students from about 35 different countries for our international students. We have Division II sports, which means that you can actually get a scholarship for playing, one of our sports, depending on your skill level. But really, what's neat about Felician is the mission that we focus on. As I mentioned, we are Catholic-based institution, which doesn't mean that you have to study that religion or that's indoctrined in any way. To be honest, most of our international students, or a big portion of them, are of Muslim descent or many, many other different religions. So it's not that, but it's more about instilling into our students the mission of being good, well-rounded, giving individuals. Which means that we're grounded on community service hours. Our students are required to do internship or some kind of practical experience before they graduate from their majors. And we're a small institution, so our class size is about 15 students per class. So you get a lot of that one-on-one attention from your professor, which are going to be your guide through your studies. Professors are your advisors within your major. So we don't have a separate advising area. Your professors really get to know you from the time you're a freshman until you graduate to guide you through what you're studying and into a career, which really speaks to it from our placement and graduation of students. So students who graduate, about 96% of them have jobs or have gone on to grad school. So they find really solid experiences throughout the studies as well as graduation. We offer over 60 majors. Some of the popular ones for my international students are our 5-year MBA program, which you have a bachelor's degree connected through an MBA. So within 5 years, you have both. And also the same, our 5-year for a master's in computer science. It's a good way to kind of do both in one, because you can continue to use your scholarship through this, your undergraduate scholarship, through your graduate scholarship, through your graduate program, I'm sorry, through your first year. So it's a nice kind of savings when you begin that transition into graduate school. Some of the things, and let me back up a little bit. Some of the things that is unique about Felician is really the way that we teach. And what I mean by that is that students are required to really engage with the subject that they're learning. So you often find the students being the teachers in the way that they classify the classrooms or the way they do the classes. Our mission is integrated into every single one of the syllabus. So professors have to find creative ways to make sure that you are learn to be a given individual within the subject that you are learning. You have compassion for others and that you are out there helping others. So it's hard to explain from a conceptual point, but it's a feeling that you get the minute that you get into our campus and you start interacting with our students and our professors. It's just a different feeling when you have nuns walking around and kind of instilling that and making sure that you're just a good person and also giving back to the community. But at the same time, making sure that you have a clear career path. And I think we're lucky because, we're so close to New York that our students have an array of opportunities when it comes to jobs and placements in these positions. I'll leave it as that. I myself was an international student. I'm from Panama originally. Moved to the US to study, and I did not attend Felician, but a very similar school. And I can tell you that going to an institution where professors get to know you, know your name, your strengths, and how to push you makes a difference when it comes to the outcome and your leadership skills once you graduate. And I really feel that students get that about Felician when they come to Felician. If there's any kind of issue, question, my colleagues know me by name. They pick up the phone, we talk through it, we help each other to make sure that the student is at the core and center of what we do. So it's quite a unique experience and just a unique place to study. This is a little bit more about how you can contact us. Every single one of student who is admitted to Felician receives some kind of merit or need-based scholarship. So I can tell you we are quite generous. We are in the region, one of the most affordable universities. I encourage you to do the research. Of course, New York, New Jersey can be a little bit pricey to live. The lifestyle there, so it's a little bit more expensive. But the opportunities that students have after graduation, I think, make up for that as well, and the salary that students get. So I'm gonna pass it over to our colleagues in EdUSA to help us navigate the questions and answer. Oh, okay, so that's why I thought I had more. I got a little flustered here because that was my last slide, somehow got put up on the top. Let me tell you just very quickly about our global program. Felician, another unique thing is that we're only one of 34 universities across the US that is considered to be a nonprofit organization of the United Nations. And this is quite unique. To be honest, we don't have a UN major per se. It's not quite like a subject that you can focus on, but it's really what we call experiential learning program. It's an interdisciplinary program where you have the ability to use your major within a global context. So whether you're an English major or you are a computer science major or nursing, you can take these courses which will give you the opportunity to intern in various organizations within the UN and really apply your skills levels that you've learned in the classroom into a global forum. So, for example, some of my nurses have worked at the World Health Organization and have moved on to careers to be in world nurses or travel nurses, if that's an interest of them. They've helped to really be part of nations' problem solving people, I'll call, or workers to give that perspective and hands-on experience within the United Nations. So how does it work? Why do nations come to the United Nations to solve their issues, and what does that process looks like? So it's really quite a unique program. If you look up in our website, you can learn a little bit more about it, and the professor that run it is an actual prince, Professor Prince Adnan El-Hashemite, who has a long history in the United Nations, and really a person you want to know when you arrive at Felician. And that's a little bit about that program. So I'll leave it, yes, I'm sorry about that. I guess my slides got flipped, but I'll pass it on to our colleagues now at EdUSA.
Hi, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your own information about your universities and about the liberal arts in general. I'm a liberal arts graduate myself. I went to Mount Holyoke College and I had the chance to double major in economics and politics. And besides that, I also got to study philosophy and Arabic and kind of bring those together with whatever I was studying. So it's been quite a fruitful experience for me, and it's something that I always recommend to students. A reminder to everybody watching that this is specifically for those high school students who are applying for their undergraduate degrees. That's usually where you would find the liberal arts programs. So if you have any questions about the universities or about the liberal arts in general, please put them down in your comments. To start off, Yerubi, we have a question about Felician. Someone's asking on Facebook about the admission procedure, if you could talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So at Felician, like I mentioned, I was an international student, and I think figuring out the admissions requirements for schools was one of the most daunting things that I had to do in my life. So I purposely, in my mission, try to make the process quite simple at Felician as a director. You can apply right online with transcripts from your high school. I know it can be a little bit hard to get official ones, so we are accepting unofficial ones now. We don't require SATs. And Pakistan is English speaking, so we don't require TOEFL or IELTS. So really your transcripts are going to be the most important piece of your application. We do recommend, we prefer also a short essay. And if you have a letter of recommendation as well is helpful, but those are not required. So those are the requirements. And at the time of admissions, once you are admitted, you find out immediately your scholarship. So it's not a separate application. Students can just apply and submit their transcripts, and within usually 2 weeks, within 2 weeks, you get an admissions decision with your scholarship.
All right, thank you for that. A few more questions, and this can be for anyone, whoever wants to take it from the panel. But who do you think is an ideal liberal arts student? Because there are some students who are very much into hardcore engineering programs. They've decided that this is exactly what they want and they don't want to be distracted. But what do you think? Do you think the liberal arts is for everyone, or do you think a specific sort of person would be ideal for these programs?
Great question. Anybody of my colleagues want to take that?
Well, one first thing I always say to students that it's really important for them to do a type of school they want and what size school they want. So typically, but not always, a liberal arts school can be small. But as we saw with Miami, it is a larger school. So I think a lot of times determining how best do you think you will be able to get involved in a school, would that be in a small campus, large campus? And then as far as really focusing on liberal arts, I think that a lot of times students can come to liberal arts school and really not completely understand, you know, the different types of programs and what it really makes it different from, let's say, just a public school. And my son was actually one of those. So he knew from the beginning he wanted to be a computer science. And when you think of computer science, you don't always think of it being in a liberal arts school. But he did quite well, and he really enjoyed it. He enjoyed the small classes, you know, the hands-on learning, the attention from his professors. Whereas if you go to sometimes larger schools, you don't always get that one-on-one attention from your professor. You may have to, you know, work with a TA, for example. So I think that in a liberal arts setting, you are definitely going to get the opportunities to interact with your professors and have your own advisor. And the opportunities might be just a little bit more for you. So anyway, anybody else want to add anything to that?
Yes, I would say that the liberal arts institutions can really be for any type of students, because one thing that you would notice in all of our presentations is that we have something for everyone. But if you're especially a student who is open-minded, a student who's looking for hands-on experience to put in practice what you're learning in the classroom, as you're learning it in the classroom, I think a liberal arts institution will be definitely a great fit for you. But again, I think because of the wide array of offerings that liberal arts institutions offer, that whatever kind of student you are, whatever kind of experience for, you will more than likely find it at a liberal arts institution.
All right, thank you for that. We have another question on our Facebook Live, and they're asking about the admission selection for students applying. Is it good grades that are very important, or would you say that the SAT test holds value as well? What do you think would be most important?
It varies from school to school.
Yes, it really depends on the school that you're looking at. At Miami University, for example, we do what we call a holistic application review, which means that we are looking at a student's grades, we are looking at the student's essay, we're looking at the student's recommendation letter, we're looking at the student's extracurricular activities, whether, you know, the student has played sports, whether the student was engaged in their community, doing service-oriented work, or playing sports, for example. So we're looking at all the different components that make up the student's application.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Afia, who's asked the question, it again depends on university. Some universities have an SAT requirement as well, so you can make sure you fulfill all the requirements of the school that you're applying to.
Yes. And specifically, just to add very quickly, be very mindful about international student requirements, which can sometimes be different than US citizens requirements. So like I mentioned, for my university, we do not require SATs for international students, but if you are a US citizen, then you'd be required to submit an SAT. So it can vary by institution, but also to be sure to particularly look for international student requirements.
Also at our school, SAT or ACT is not required, but oftentimes if a student does take it, it's good for them to submit it because it can help us determine their level of scholarship. We can also use that for English proficiency, which is nice. And then other than that, I think it's, the essay that's really important to read. We can learn more about the student. I will say our average student comes in with a 3.65 GPA, but we get have students under that. We have students over that. So it is more of a holistic review process for us as well.
All right, thank you for sharing that. So moving forward, you all spoke about learning in the classroom and how to apply that to wherever jobs that the students go towards. But what do you think are some examples of transferable skills that you've seen students take from the classroom to their jobs? In my time as a student, I have seen some people majoring in anthropology and engineering and then going into careers such as banking and finance. And it's always been interesting to see that. But do you have anything to share about something related to this?
Wow. I have to say, because I'm a child of a liberal arts education as well, I have to say my writing skills were a huge skill learned through my liberal arts education, presentation skills as well. I can't think of a class in my undergraduate program where I didn't have to present. So that helped when it came to applying for jobs and kind of building your confidence. So I'm really thinking about those soft skills that a liberal arts education really focuses on. Really how to ask the right questions, even in an interview, right? What type of questions you ask and being a good listener. So I've seen that kind of cross paths pretty much at all points of my career, where students graduate with something, would do something completely different. And sometimes it's really where the opportunities lead you, right? You might have gotten an internship on the subject that you thought you liked and then really understood that that's not what you thought it was and what you wanted to do. So then what, right? This your senior year and you did the internship of your life just to realize that you hated it. So I think a liberal arts degree gives you kind of the confidence and the skill to take what you learn into what you love to do. And you see that, and my colleagues can talk a little bit more about that, but I definitely had that personal experience when I did my internship and realized, oh my God, this is not what I want to do. And I spent 4 years studying this, but I was able to still transfer the skills that I learned through my liberal arts education into a career that I love.
All right, thank you for sharing that. I think definitely presentation and writing are two of the skills that I also did take from my liberal arts college experience, and they help you almost anywhere that you go. My last question for the panel is that a lot of students all over the world, and especially in Pakistan, do have questions regarding the sort of support they can receive as international students on a US campus. I know some of you have spoken about it, but if you could elaborate a little bit about the sort of support that an international student can receive on your campuses and what they do to offer that.
I can go first. We, on our campus, first of all, we have a host family program. So that means each international student, if they want, they can have a host family. And that host family usually meets them at the airport. They may spend a few days with them in their home before classes start. They usually have them over for dinner throughout the semester. They could take them on little getaways or to a festival or a sporting event. So that's one thing that our students have found is really helpful for them to integrate and to also learn about American culture. And then we also have a program like that on campus that's matching an American student with an international student. And it's more of a friendship, so that they get to know each other, they get to learn from each other as far as their cultures are concerned. And then we also have, academically, we have a student success center. And that's where students can have like a round table to help them learn English, or if they're having problems with math or writing, they can go in and get one-on-one help with any of those areas, or if they're just struggling with the test taking, so they can get instruction on that. And then we have also an International Student Association, which is for internationals to come together and do fun things. You know, they can put on an international night for the whole campus, or they just take off and go hiking in Hocking Hills. But they meet regularly and they plan events, and they're also led by students who have, you know, maybe sophomores or juniors who have been on campus for a while. And not just for international, but we do have Americans that like to join that program.
For us at Miami University, we do have a wide variety of support services for international students. The first one that I will mention is the International Student and Scholar Services Center, which is an entire office that is dedicated to just supporting our international students. So once actually, let me back up. Before international students even come to campus, you'll be in contact with the ISSS office. They will be giving you information from what should you bring when you're coming to the US, which airport should you fly from, and which airport should you fly to when you're arriving to the US. They will be picking you up from the airport as well. And before the start of classes, they will also offer an international orientation, which is an orientation that happens about 3 days before the official start of classes. And during that international orientation, all international students are coming together, and you're basically given all of the information that you will be needing in order to have 4 successful years at Miami. Everything from you know, how to keep your immigration status, how to keep your visa valid, to what sort of classes should you be taking, who is your academic advisor, all that kind of information. In addition to that, we also have a writing center, because writing is a pretty important portion of you know, your studies here in the United States. So you'll have the support that you'll need to make sure that, you know, you're writing according to what your classes require. We also have an academic advisor for each of our students. So this is somebody you'll be working with closely to make sure that you're on track to graduate within the 4 years. And we also have career advising for all students, including international students. And as I mentioned earlier, with this career advisor, you're meeting with them periodically to make sure that you're getting the experiences that you need. And also just getting you ready for your future career. We also have plenty of international organizations. We have an international student organization. We have organizations that are more specific to a geographic location, like the African Student Association, the Indian Student Association, so on and so forth. So we have a very, very wide array of
For some reason, her Wi-Fi is going in and out.
Services for our international, also all of the support that is necessary, because your experience could be different from domestic students.
Yeah, I think similar to my colleagues, I have to say Felician really approaches international students like a community. We're a community here to support. So yes, you do a whole orientation and what we call welcome back events. where we start integrating our international students with our domestic students. There's a peer tutor, peer mentor program that we have that you can sign up for if you want to kind of have a buddy when you arrive and someone to connect to. But I have to say, as an international student, some of the biggest support offices for me were definitely the Tutoring and Writing Center. The US system of education is quite different and can be sometimes a hard transition from what you're used to from home. So I think having that academic support, that place you can go to that is going to welcome you and help you support throughout your classes. Of course, professors are there are more classes, but sometimes you just need a little bit more than the professor can give you at that moment. So a tutoring center, someone like a peer to help you break down what you're learning in the classroom, and someone like in the writing center to really help you really get an understanding of that research paper and what it contains can make a big difference. So I think those are some of the biggest support offices. Of course, like I mentioned, we have International Club and the International Office, a team which helps you with all your immigration questions and making sure that you have a smooth transition. But yeah, I'd say if you see institutions that are recruiting in Pakistan and that you are doing such of these programs, is because we really care about you, and we're going to have the services that you need to come if you choose to come to our campuses. So I think either one of our 3 schools would be supportive through your studies. Yeah, or have the right support for you.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing all that information and your insight on liberal arts. I think that is all for today. If there's anything else you would like to add, please go ahead. For all the students watching, if you want any more information, you can go to the university pages and find out more about their costs and room and board and everything else. If you want their contact emails, we can definitely help you get in touch with them as well. So if there is nothing else to add, thank you, Yerubi, Fatimata, and Jennifer for joining us today, and for all the students who watched. And for more information about Education USA, please visit our social media pages. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Happy Ramadan.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.